Hi, this is John DiMaggio from Speak Geek, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how I created this little guy. This is my new series, Doctor Who Zygon, in the character options 5.5 scale. Um, I will say that I've seen folks who've made these, who've sculpted these from scratch, and they're very good, and I unfortunately am not talented enough to do that. So I'm very impressed with people who can sculpt and paint really well, especially faces at this scale. I think it's amazing, and I think those are my favorite customizers that can do that and do it really well. Unfortunately, I don't have that skill set. So I've had to try to come up with different ways to achieve the likenesses and the level of detail that I would like to get from these figures that were not created by character options or were not created at the 5.5-inch scale. So I'm going to show a little bit about my process and how this worked. So essentially, at one point, character options decided that they were going to not make figures in the 5.5-inch scale, which we had been collecting for years and seemed that everybody loved, but I guess people didn't love it enough because character options was not making enough money selling them, so they decided to save money by switching over to the 3 3/4-inch scale. Now, I will say I did not like these figures. I'm not knocking character options. I know they're always putting out the best product that they can put out, taking into account that they're a business and they have to make money. I know they have a passion for this line, and they're always doing their best. So I am in no way knocking character options. Having said that, I just don't like the scale. I think the level of detail was not right for these kind of figures. Now, that's not to say that I have something against the 3 3/4-inch scale in general, because some of my favorite action figures, the Micronauts or the Micromen from Japan, are the same scale. And I love these figures. These came out in the United States in the 70s when I was a young kid. And I love these because, unlike most figures from the 70s, these had full articulation. And they were posable, and you could do lots of different things with them. And they had all sorts of vehicles that came apart and you could put together in different configurations. And I loved them. So I don't have anything against the 3 3/4-inch scale in general, but I think it works a lot better for an original line where it's not trying to look like something or a person, the likeness from a TV show. I just feel like in this scale, you can't get the level of detail that you really want from something that's representing a TV show or a movie character. So having said that, I really wanted a new era Zygon in the same character option scale, and obviously you can see there's a huge difference there. So having this on my shelf next to this guy doesn't really work for me. So, not trusting that I had the ability to really sculpt this, I decided to take a different route. So, essentially, what I did was I've gotten into casting. So, I took this figure and I pulled him apart. His legs just come off, the rest of him is one piece. And I cast him in two parts. So, his head and his body and his arms, and then his legs as a separate piece. And then I used this really cool product that I found called expanding rubber. So what this is if when you were a little kid, if you ever got like some kind of dinosaur egg and you would throw it in water and then it would crack open and expand and inside it would be this big thing that would get bigger and bigger, it works like that. So what I did is I cast it in the expandable rubber, and here it is in two pieces. And these were just where I poured in the expandable rubber to make the mold. So here's his legs and here's the rest of his body. And you can see it's the same scale as the original. But then what happened is after you put this together, you soak this in water for really a couple of days. And it soaks in the water and it gets really, really, really big. It also happens to get really, really distorted. And part of the problem is the thinner parts expand greater than the larger parts. So after you get it to expand to the size you want, you have to then take it out of the water and let it dry up a little bit, but not too much, to make sure that it gets to the right proportions and it's not so distorted. So after I let this get bigger, I then made another cast of it at the larger size. So from there, I had this larger cast that I cast in flexible plastic, and I got these pieces. So essentially, this came out as two pieces again, just the legs and the head and the arms and the body, and then I cut them into individual pieces. So you can see here, I've got one piece is his head and his body. Another piece, so I cut these into pieces, was his torso there. Then I've got the upper part of his legs, the lower part of his legs, the upper part of his arms, the rest of his arms, and his hands. So one of the things that I've been working with a lot to get the articulation in a figure is magnets. So I've been using magnets to put these things together, and you can see this guy's got magnets all over him. And it's tricky because you have to make sure you have the polarity right on the magnets, but then it makes it really easy to assemble, and you can get articulation. I think I put these on backwards. It goes like that, and then you can get that articulation that you want in the figure. So after I cast it at the correct scale, you can see I then used milliput to redo all the suckers because the suckers came out a little rough. So I redid the suckers in milliput, and then I cast it again. So now I've got it all in pieces, so I cast each individual piece that I wanted, and then I was able to make another figure. And again, I use flexible rubber because I find that the flexible rubber works better. It's actually flexible plastic. So it's easier to kind of cut it into pieces afterwards. It does harden more after a while, so it's not that flexible after several days, but you can work with it for a couple of days and it stays flexible. So this is my final product. So what I was able to do is I now have this in a cast, so I can make multiple copies of this. The only thing I would need to do after I make the copies is Dremel the areas for the magnets. So you can see he totally comes apart. He's pretty well articulated, so I didn't use magnets for the knee joints. I just actually screwed in here and then used a large paper clip and then glued it on the ends to get the knee articulation. And the same thing here. And some of the joints are better than others. So I've got the arm articulation. This one is a little bit wonky. And then I painted him, and it's a bit different than this paint job. I don't know that it's more accurate to the show, but I kind of like the way it came out. The face is really rough, but it kind of looks creepy, so I like it. So I've decided not to go back and fix that. So as you can see, I can use the magnets, stick this guy together, put on his legs. He can stand up, which you can't really see on this camera. I can pose him in different ways. So if I want to have his arms up, I can have his arms up. I can move his legs. So he is pretty posable. And that's it. So I think that in comparison, he looks pretty good next to the original classic series Zygon. We have the new Zygon here. I like to call this process embiggering. That's what I call it. Yeah, so again, if you can sculpt, if you're the kind of person who could sculpt and you can sculpt this and make it, that is awesome. And I totally respect that, and I totally am in awe of you being able to do that. I cannot do that. So I've gone to great lengths to get the figure that I wanted. I'm planning also on doing this. I have done this with the Nightmare in Silver Cyberman. I'm making a second pass at it because the first one I did, I wasn't 100% happy with the way it came out. And also the new series, Ice Warrior, because that was another one that came out in the 3 3/4 inch size, but did not come out in the 5.5 inch size. So I do regular customizing. I do sculpting with Milliput. I do a lot of work. I don't like reusing other Doctor Who figure heads to put on another character because whenever I look at that character, I think, oh, this looks just like this other character from the show. So I've been doing. I'm always on the lookout for other heads in that scale that I think look like another character, and I've had some success with that as well. I've also come up with another technique to take heads that maybe aren't exactly in scale and get them in scale, and I'll do another video about that. So I hope this is helpful for people. I don't know if anybody is going to kind of go to the great lengths that I've done to make this figure. Again, if you can sculpt it, go ahead and sculpt it. It'll probably save you a lot of money and a lot of time. But this is my technique, and I figured I haven't really seen a lot of other people doing this sort of thing, so I thought maybe this would be helpful. Thanks for watching. I hope you've watched to the end here, and you've gotten something out of this. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm very new. I don't have a lot of viewers. I'm thinking I might do some more of this. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. I have a 3D printer here. I have a lot of different techniques, a lot of different ways to do things, so I think I can make some videos that can help some people out. If I get 100 subscribers, I can make a custom URL for my channel, which would be kind of cool instead of it being some random string of numbers and letters. So if you would be so kind as to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. The other thing I'll say as well, since I'm promoting myself, is that I also have SpeakGeek is also a t-shirt shop. This is one of the t-shirts I designed and sell on speakgeektees.com. I will have a link to that in the show notes. So if you're interested in that, there's Doctor Who and some other things. There's mostly Doctor Who because that's my main fandom. These are basically just shirts that I wanted to have and they didn't exist. So I decided to make them for myself and then set up an on-demand print t-shirt shop. So if somebody else has the same taste that I do and they would like to get this shirt, that's great. They can buy it from there. I'm a very much of a DIY guy. If there's something that I would like to have and it doesn't exist, I will try to make it myself. And if you're watching this, you're probably of the same mindset. So there you go. Again, thanks for watching. Take care. I will be back with another video, hopefully sometime soon, because, we've got a lot of time at home right now. All right. I hope you're well. I hope you are healthy and staying safe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.